So at my number 10 is a film I recently rewatched a while ago on the Criterion channel, mainly because I hadn't seen it for a really long time and I really wanted to watch it again. And then I was reminded how great the movie is. And it's Sidney Lumet's directorial debut, 12 Angry Men.
That is a fantastic film. I remember watching that for the first time as a kid and loving it. That is not on my list, so well done. We've already not overlapped.
We haven't overlapped yet.
I hope we don't have too many overlaps in this decade because there's so many films to talk about. And so this is great. So 12 Angry Men, take it away.
Yeah, so for those who are not too familiar with 12 Angry Men, it's essentially
about 12 men.
It's about 12 men locked in a room. They're members of a jury in a murder trial. And it's a murder trial, and if they all vote unanimously,
You having a stroke?
I can't remember the. Unanimously votes guilty. The boy who's on trial for killing his father is going to go, he's going to get sentenced to death.
You're killing your father, Larry.
And then so they go to deliberate, and pretty much the entire table believes that the kid is guilty, except for one man, juror number 8, played by Henry Fonda. He's not. Like when he says, he's not saying, I don't think the boy did it. He thinks maybe he didn't do it. And and the whole film takes place
reasonable doubt.
And they start going through the facts of the case. And he starts to, and he slowly convinces everyone in the room that this kid didn't do it. And there's like 3 or 4 people who are very staunch in agreement of that this kid is guilty, that this kid did kill his father. One of them is J Cobb, his sort of backstory is that he has a very sort of bad relationship with his son, and they had a very violent sort of confrontation at one point, and they don't really speak to each other that much. And then you have
Ed Begley, he's the racist one, right?
He's not the racist one. It's actually it's juror number 10, Ed Begley.
That's what I said, Ed Begley.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite hear you that well. Sorry. And then there's E.G. Marshall, who's juror number 4, who's like a Wall Street banker or something like that, and he listens to everybody when they say why this kid is not guilty, but he still kind of believes he still believes that the kid is guilty either way. And it's an interesting film. It's not a whodunit. The film is not trying to sort of prove that this kid didn't do it. He might have done it, we don't know, but it's a film about facts. It's a film about people debating facts of a case or anything and trying to understand the whole thing, because there's a really interesting moment in the film after Henry Fonda's character says, I don't believe the kid did it, and they all go around the table why they think the kid is guilty, and most people give really bad reasons. And I think that's and I think it's a really interesting film about how people are challenged in sort of figuring out the facts of things and actually come up with a better reason,
confronting a deeper sense of what reality is. It's a film, I think, that is very relevant for our time, because it is that thing of, on the surface, a thing may seem a particular way, or you can just believe something that you've been told because it's easy to believe, whether you're being told by cable news or with someone on the internet or something, or you can actually look into it and be critical. I mean, I think it's a film about facts, but I think it's also a film about critical thinking and empathy. Yeah. And I think those things are, they don't sound necessarily it's also an amazing fact that this film takes place entirely inside one room. It takes place entirely inside one room. In Rear Window, for example, which is another one-room movie, you have, exteriors and other apartments, and the camera can move into them. But here you are bound by the 4 walls of this room. Because there's a bathroom sometimes that you go to.
They go into the bathroom occasionally, but for the most part, we just are in this one tiny room, and there's fans. It's hot. It's raining at one point. Like today. And one person just wants to get going because he wants to get to a baseball game, which is kind of funny. He just says he's guilty. All right, he's not guilty. Let's just get this over with because I got a game to get to and things like that.
Isn't Ed Binns in this film?
Who?
Isn't his name Ed Binns? He's a really good character actor. He's in Patton and some Night Moves.
He plays juror number 6.
Yeah, I like him. It's just a great cast. It's such a good ensemble.
Yeah, and also as from a technical and creative perspective, it's actually a very well made film. Like Sidney Lumet, he it's a film entirely in one room, but he still makes that film very exciting in the way that he moves the camera and the way that he frames the actors. Like, there's a very interesting thing which I read on IMDb where the film starts like quite high. The camera like films from like a very high angle. Then it like towards the like in the middle part of the film, the camera's at like the level of, all the actors. And then by the end, the camera's quite low and claustrophobic, which I think is quite interesting. And I think
what about that?
Spike Lee, he's listed this film as a film that every like aspiring filmmaker should watch. And I also think like it's a film that people in film schools should watch as well in regards to blocking and filming and, because it's incredibly well made for what it is.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great choice at number 10. But let's move on because, as I say, we have got to get through this list, and there are going to be 20, maybe 20, less than 20, but a lot of interesting films to talk about, and we do not have the time.